So I wanted to add a little thickness to the color. We don't want it to be one polygon thick, because that really looks unnatural, especially, I mean, even in fabric, you want to have that thickness on the edge. So that's the next thing I wanted to do. And usually I always add this thickness at the very end, because once you add it, it becomes a little bit more of a pain to edit it, because you're going to have polygons, one above each other really closely. So before that, I actually decided it would be maybe better to kind of jitter this whole form a little bit, exactly for the reason why I told you, once you add this thickness, it becomes a little bit more pain in the ass, pain in the behind, pardon me, to edit it. And of course, while modeling anything organic, or trying to get that realism in the forms, you want to avoid this perfectness of the shape, this perfect symmetry. So throughout this tutorial, we're going to go and kind of jitter these things up a little bit, to add it more of that natural feeling. And especially for clothes, for clothes, you want to have some bending. You don't want it to look like a piece of sheet metal. And the amount of detail really depends on how much topology you're willing to put into it. The more polygons it has, the more unmanageable it becomes. So it's kind of a trade-off between adding more edge loops and adding more details. Of course, you can always add these small things in normal maps or in bump maps. You can go into some sculpting programs and then just import, like a normal map. But in this case, we're just going to stick with Lightwave, and work this close out. And yeah, now basically just doing the same thing on the other side, trying to break that symmetry and that flat kind of feeling. Wanting to have more, like fabric feeling. I'm just kind of observing, you wanted to have some logic to it, just trying to see where this would maybe bend a little bit, where it would curve, and seeing the polygons that you have. And switching from subpatch to polygon mode, just to see what you're getting really in the subpatch, because that's the mode you're gonna do the rendering in. And magnet tool is also a good tool to use for these deformations. And it's just a matter of playing around, basically. Of course, you don't want to go too far, make it too bulgy or and yeah, it's looking much better now. I like what I'm getting here. And when I was happy with what I got, I went in and added that thickness. And again, just using the extrude tool and stretch tool to stretch things. And when you're stretching polygons that are, going into different directions like we have here, it's not always easy to get the best results. So you have to go through the polygons, sometimes through all the polygons and just see where they ended up. Like you see here, some are, stretched too much. It all depends on the point from which you start your stretch. If you go into the upper corner and stretch, the points closest to the point of the origin of the stretch are going to stretch the least, while those points which are farthest are going to stretch the most. So it's, with experience you kind of get the idea where you want to start the stretch from. But it's always, going back and nudging things, nudging points a little bit here and a little bit there. And at the end, I added one more edge loop to really get that thickness. And now we have to do the same thing with the other side of the jacket. Now, of course, it's just a tiny little bit more difficult in these areas where where we jitter things up. We kind of lost that perfect perfect shape, but it doesn't matter. It's not very difficult to do it anyway. So I'm just again stretching, and you can see stretching and nudging, and you can see where I'm choosing my point or origin of stretch to be, to get the best shape. But now it's like I said, the problem is just to kind of clean up this geometry so it's not coming through these polygons. But most of the polygons are either where they're supposed to be, the points, or very close. And it's not so difficult to figure it out. So this cleanup went pretty fast. And again, adding Benzo Pro, and now we're kind of getting into this moment where we're going to put it all together. And so to do that, just select all the points and make sure they are 0 on the x-axis. And one thing you can do is name these sides of the suit in the different surfaces, assign different materials to them, so you can always easily select one side or the other. So just a few more points of the suit that need to be welded together, and it's this area here. And we very quickly welded that up. And yeah, this is the suit for Jack, and it's a perfect spot to save our work as well. And you just save incremental, so you can always go back. And I always find it best, to have as many iterations as you can, because then you can always go back if anything gets corrupted, or you just want to go back a step. And a quick fit of the suit to the body. Again, just a little bit of nudging here and there And yeah, it's floating a little bit too far from the chest area, so we want to fix that also. And now it's just whether you want the jacket to come closer or to push out the chest a little bit further out. And yeah, I decided to just push the chest a little bit more up, because for once it's a lot simpler, a lot easier, and also I wanted to add a little bit more volume to the chest area. So it's basically adjusting, the jacket to the torso, and small tweaks here and there. And now we're seeing, yeah, already it's looking a lot better. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. And again, just saving the work we did. And next thing that we're going to do is the tails for the jacket to kind of finish it up. But before we do that, I wanted to make Jack a little bit more round. It's kind of elliptical right now, this bottom part. So I'm just hiding everything, hiding the upper part so I have a better view. And just kind of adjusting things a little bit. And we are, deviating a little bit from our silhouette, but at the end, it's just what we feel, when looking at the model is going to look better, and we shouldn't be, slaves of some reference image that we made. Shouldn't be afraid to step a little bit out of it. And now we're starting to actually make the legs. And I'm just figuring out where his waist is going to be, how far up the legs are going to go. Trying to see where the hips are. Of course, we have a general silhouette, but not exactly, marked where the hips are and where the knees are and things like that. And now we're starting to go into the hip area. Now Jack has a very thin body, a very thin waist. So yeah, we should definitely be mindful of that. And now it's just a matter of creating this hip area and the buttocks and the groins. I'm just kind of entering slowly into it, exploring. So I'm just extruding this, starting to get the crutch area, and putting everything to be in the 0 on the x-axis. Now we want to avoid this feeling that it's just like two tubes sticking out of this upper part. We want to get that a little bit of an organic feeling, of course, we want. I was getting a bit of a perspective there. Yeah, and very quickly we're starting to get something there. So just adding more edge loops to start forming the behind and this crotch area. And turning on the symmetry mode. It's very difficult just to work with one side, and since everything is symmetrical for us right now, entering into symmetry mode really helps a lot. So I'm just kind of shaping this rear end. Of course, we shouldn't forget that we're making pants. We're not actually making, naked body. And the character object really doesn't have, that strong buttocks or leg muscles or anything like that. So yeah, that's the basic shape for now. It's looking a bit odd. Well, with a little tweaking, we're gonna get it where it needs to be. So I'm just kind of raising this hip area up a little bit, something like that. Yeah. And kind of rounding things up a little bit more, just to elongate it. We want to get some roundness there. And adding a little bit of a crotch there. Shouldn't be like really flat. A little bit of a behind there. As well. Here we have our 2-point polygon, and also welding those 2 triangles into one 4-point polygon. All this time I'm working in symmetry mode. So just kind of studying the shape from different angles, from different views, to see how it looks. And it's already starting to look a little bit better. Now we're starting to get that shape. Adjusting things a little bit here and a little bit there. adding a tad more roundness to it. So we're starting, exploring the shape and slowly getting it where we want it to be. And removing those 2-point polygons. So not much to say there other than, just kind of take it from the basic shape and then, adjust it a little bit here, a little bit there, and, you'll see if you need some extra topology, if you need some extra edge loops. And right now this upper part, bottom part of the suit is kind of too straight. We wanted to have, like a little bit more of a curvature towards down, towards the bottom. And while making the torso, you should always be aware, of course, of the whole shape object. I just want to kind of add some, feeling of hips. We don't want it to be like really, really straight. Some hip area should be there. Yeah, basically just tweaking the form until we get something we feel is good. And it's still looking a little bit too cubic. So it's just kind of continuing to look at the form from different angles and make these little changes. The position of the feet. Do we give him a little belly or not? How much accent do we put on his behind and stuff like that. It's just kind of a little bit of a trial and error process there. But basically, this whole hip area is more about adjusting the points a little bit here and a little bit there, rather than some complicated modeling. So I'm still not, 100% certain how much accent do I want to put on certain areas of the hip. Well, as we go along, it's going to start to develop. Now already it's looking pretty good, but I'm just kind of tweaking it a bit more. and shuffling from smooth shade to wireframe. And yeah, once we extend the legs all the way, we kind of get a feeling of the whole form, you know, and hip area in it. So yeah, happy with that area or there. And now I'm just going to go back into this torso area to make it fit better with the jacket. So once we rename these surfaces, we get a better idea of you know, what's sticking out and what's not sticking out. So it's, you know, matter of little tweaks, and of course now I'm just deleting the parts of the torso which are never going to be seen, so we don't need them, because Jack is always wearing his jacket. And also helps with the animation if you ever want to animate your character. You know, you got less polygons to worry about breaching or overlapping. But of course, once you delete some polygons when you go into Snap Patch, you know, it will lose some of the roundness, so you have to push in some polygons, those edge polygons, the edge polygons more in. And it's never too late to, of course, fix, like in this case. Now I felt the jacket kind of went too much inside. I wanted to give this lower abdominal part of Jack a little bit more breathing space, so to say. So I just kind of pushed jacket up front a little bit more. And yeah, that solved that issue. And kind of nudging things to be a bit closer to the torso, to the jacket, to get a snugger fit. And just the back area, which, you know, this problem when you delete the polygons going to Snap Patch, they kind of stick out a bit more. And yeah, that is it. And it's looking pretty slick. And just kind of naming surfaces of the Jack right now, with the jacket, with the pants, and I was gonna call that black. And yeah, we can see, you know, just rename also the surface or the button, and put it a little bit lighter. So already we're kind of getting you know, the feeling of the surfaces and the textures just with these basic colors. And yeah, perfect place to save our work. That's it for this session. The body is slowly starting to take shape,
And in the next session, we're going to continue to work on it.